Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow, 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 follow the yellow brick road.
Well, that's too loud, too loud, too loud. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Monday, October 28th, as we get set to close out the month of October. Hey, we've got some more news about Lou in his first appearance that started this evening in Philadelphia. Welcome, everybody, to Disclosure Tonight. Yes, we've got a short amount of time for the rest of this year. Can't wait to see where the heck this disclosure is going to go. You never know, my friends. You never know. Welcome. All right, on that note, let me go ahead and get this together, find my regular frequent flyer sound effects, and let's get the drums. Ouch, 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 ouch. Sorry, everybody. Turn that down. I don't need to be ranked. Yeah, it was loud there. It was freaking shaking the walls here too, my friends. How about that? Let's go ahead and welcome everybody into Disclosure Tonight. Let's see who the heck we have out there. Would you look at that? Badger from Bothel's here, along with Corporal Abe 311B. Creethy Banis is here, along with Digger Dog, Eli McGinnis, and Firefly Frank Einstein is here. J-Cat Kathy Kelly brought in those piercing blue eyes. She really does have piercing blue eyes, folks, let me tell you. Who else do we have out there? We've got King Bull, Neil Morgan, Niles Guy is here. Good to see you, Niles Guy. Paul DeMond, Peggy and her South Florida friends. Good to see you, Peggy. Rachel Osborne, Shelley Montgomery's around, along with Sierra Multimedia, all the way from Hong Kong. Super Unknowns here, along with Two Heads 666, and of course, the Mac Geek is here, and Wildcat Mahone. But would you look at that? Little Timmy popped in. It's Tim Senor, also known as Anonymous Rex, is here. Welcome, friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see if I can find this. Where's she at? Where is she at? Oh, she's not there. She's there, but she's not there. We'll figure that out eventually. On that note, folks, let's go ahead. Welcome. Hopefully you've had a good weekend. You have a nice day off on Sunday, I hope so. I got to stop looking over there. Be looking there at the camera. Let me fix that. Let me fix it really quick. Projector preview. All right, on that note, let's go ahead and welcome in our friends who we have in the back. That's right, friends. It's time to go ahead and welcome in our friends we have in the back. Who do we have here? Well, let's take a look. First off, I want to go ahead and welcome our remote viewing targeter. Let's welcome in our very own Laura Campbell. How's it going, Laura?
It's going great, Thomas. I'm anxious to hear about Lou's first session talking to the public after his book.
Oh, what was that again? I'm sorry. My audio was a little too loud here. I had to turn it down.
In Philadelphia, Lou Elizondo. I'm anxious to hear how that went.
Absolutely. Can't wait to be passing that on. We got first-hand experiencer who was at Lou Elizondo's today, telling us what happened. But thank you very much. Looking forward to it as well. I could say it's none of your business, but it's actually Susan Ford, all the way from Turn the World Upside Down, Australia. How's it going, Susan?
Oh, it's pretty good down here. Lovely day. Sun's nice and sunny, as should be. I'm glad to be here. I had a little bit of a holiday, so where I was in the middle of the wherever, and I couldn't get on because the internet's a bit dodgy out there, so I missed my show, so here I am. Yay.
Welcome. It's wonderful having you back again, Susan. Long time no see. Turning our phase on Southern California, the place you want to be. Let's go ahead and welcome in our very own Faze Will. How's it going, Will?
Hello, Thomas. Good to be here, and happy Monday.
Thank you very much, sir. Happy Monday to you, too. Going on to our last panelist we have this evening, let's welcome in our very own Shelly Montgomery. Shelly, how you doing, girl?
I'm here. Hey, guys. It's a little dark. Sorry, but good to see you all.
Oh, we like our lives a little dark, so I get you, Shelly. On that note, oh, I could say it's time for Mike, Disclosure. Where are you, buddy? He's not here. I think he's dealing with some sick people around the house. Hopefully, he'll be in here shortly. But what a great show! What a great opportunity to have a fun time hanging out with friends. Well. Where do I start this one? Let's get to the desk. Lou Elizondo is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania today. And he is on his first stop of his Lou tour, where he's going ahead and traveling around the United States. Gives you yourself an opportunity to come and see him in person. Great opportunity to go ahead. You know, you've heard a lot of things that he's said in the past. You'll hear him again, but this is like going to a concert for a favorite band, favorite speaker. You might have heard this stuff, but you've never heard Lou in person. On that note, let's see if I can get to this here. Bring up the desktop. Oh, where am I going to go? Video, full guest. I think I can show this. I want to go ahead. I've got some pictures here of Lou at the overall agreement. Nope, can't show that one. All right, so what are we talking about? Great, come on already, work already. Come on, work with me. All right, Lou Elizondo on his media tour right now. October 28th was his first date, happening today in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. How about that? Let's get on to our next picture. I'll just do it this way. Here we go. First picture of Lou on stage. Best way to go ahead and describe what Lou's media tour is so far, at least coming from Pennsylvania. UAPs in a new paradigm. Presented to, I guess this is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at the City Winery. It's a nice venue, table service and everything there. A great opportunity to come and listen to Lou Elizondo live on stage. Now, according to one of the people who are watching Lou today, you're going to get about an hour of Lou giving a speech, talking about different things, different words, parachutes, ships, all different stuff, working out the vernacular, going ahead and talking about, you know, some of the stuff, you know, concepts that were once considered paranormal, kind of, getting into talking about things about ATIP and stuff. So it's a lot of similar things you've probably heard Lou. If you've heard Lou in a live stream broadcast before, get set for it. It's going to be some of the same stuff. One of the people who was there kind of went and said, it's almost like a put together for a primer for people who aren't familiar with Lou. But the way I'm looking at this now and everything, I would almost have to think a majority of the people that are going to these in-person events are probably people who are very into Lou Elizondo. They've bought his book and everything, because you'll get an hour of Lou giving a talk, about a half an hour for questions and answers. And again, it's the usual same questions. There was one question that came out today going ahead and asking specifically about Immaculate Constellation. The answer given was, can't talk about it. So if we think we're going to get more out of these, maybe as time goes on, he'll maybe start spilling the beans a bit more. But the first one was pretty tame. And after, you know, also talking about, of course, the good old observables. There's 6 of them now. Instantaneous acceleration, transmedium travel, hypersonic velocity, anti-gravity, low observability, and biological effects. So again, some of the similar things we've heard coming out of Lou before. And the most important thing, when you're done, if you brought with your book, you get an opportunity to go ahead and get Lou Elizondo to personally sign your book. So it's an overall nice event. If you're a fan of Lou's, it's something that you really enjoy. This is an opportunity for you as one of his super fans to go out, hear him give a speech in person, maybe ask a question if you get a chance, and also hang out afterwards, wait in line, and bring with your copy of Eminent so you can go ahead and get it signed. Will, I know you actually have an opportunity where you're going to be going to see Lou coming up in, is it New Mexico?
No, it's in Tucson, Arizona.
Arizona.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I'm excited to meet him. I have a gift for him, so I hope he accepts the gift. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, well, bring with your book, too, so you can get him to sign it.
Right on, right on.
Yeah, and it's not just going ahead and signing a sticker and getting it put in the book and saying it's official. He's actually going to go ahead. Maybe he'll say like to William, Lou, or whatever you want to say. So, but there's an opportunity to go ahead and get it there, and then there's nothing like a personal signature on one of his books. I don't think it gets any better than that, Will.
Yes, I'm gonna get a copy of his signature book I'm gonna get a signature for you as well. I got 2 books, so one.
Oh
for me
wow,
and
thank
one
you,
for
man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'll have to swap it back. I've got a new book here in a box, never signed, never opened.
It's okay. It's okay. He still loves you, Thomas.
Oh, I know that. He'll be around eventually, I hope. If he does, he does. If he doesn't, I'm a big boy. I can handle it. Right, Moose? One more here. You want the cookies like I want to see Lou Elizondo in person. But you know what? Eventually, we'll get. All right. What a week, what a day. Yes, let's move on from the news about Lou Elizondo. Hopefully Mike will show up soon, but if not, we'll have a fun time without him. Let me get back to my desk again. That's a husky here. Come on, guys. Not now. I've got the dogs going crazy. Where are the snacks? Okay, let me go ahead and find where I put Brave Browser at. I've got a bunch of little stories here for us to go ahead and talk about. All right, one of our first stories we're going to be getting into is... don't do that, please. Come on, browser, come back. So, Tim Burchett, as usual, it's a cover-up. Our House Representative from the great state of Tennessee. Love Tim Burchett. He's, if there's any person in the House of Representatives who could potentially be called out for being the loudest, the best echo voice out there with regards to disclosure, it's absolutely Tim Burchett. Let me go ahead and bring up this next video clip here of just Tim talking about, President Trump. So let's see what Tim is saying here on that note. Oh, where's it at? Let's get video, desktop, document. I guess we could go to this one. We haven't done this one in a while. Here we go. Let's go ahead and play this one. Oh, great. There's my... Close that. No, don't do that. Yeah, that was right. Perfect. Over a little bit more. Let's go ahead and play this audio clip coming from Mr. Tim Burchett. Here we go. Representative Tim Burchett.
We've got to have a strong leader in the White House that grasps the problem what's going on. And I've actually talked to folks. Well, I've talked to President Trump, but I'm convinced that if he's elected, that there will be disclosure and there will be much gnashing of teeth, because I feel like he gets it now. I think part of his problem in the past was he trusted people that were around him, and it was just too dadgum big for him to get a grasp on everything. And I believe this will be that opportunity. So
Tim says what I've been saying for a while. I think it's something that we have out there, and it looks like it's a good opportunity compared to the opposition. Trump has been asked many, many, many times with respect to how he wants to go ahead and handle disclosure. He said he's willing to bring out the information. He's familiar with some of the stuff. He's talked to some pilots. So some people, you know, there's a lot of haters out there. A lot of people that are looking down party lines rather than looking at it, you know, even if you don't like Trump, at least there's a potential good side. You get a potential, if you're watching this show, you get a good potential to go ahead and get disclosure in a way that if you didn't like him, that your candidate, whose administration is really in office right now, has been unwilling to bring forward the truth on disclosure. So I can't wait to see where all of that is going to go. Get back to the chat again. Let's go ahead and see what else I've got up here. Bunch of little news stories going on today. Oh, let's see where else we've got going on. Susan.
Yes.
You're familiar with the Westall 1966 UFO encounter, right?
In Melbourne, yeah.
Well, it's in Westall, but Melbourne, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and bring this one up here. Video full guest. All right. So apparently Ross Coulthart has a story that came out in the Daily Mail that there is a secret dossier detailing the truth about the UFO encounter in Westall that's being suppressed. Are you surprised that the United Kingdom government, I mean, not the United Kingdom, the Australia, sorry about that, that was a big faux pas. The Australian government is trying to shut down any further information about something coming out in 1966? It seems kind of petty, doesn't it?
No, because, see, this is the bottom line. Australia does whatever America tells it to do.
Oh, you know, in other words, Australia is America's little bitch.
Uh-huh. So it's no surprise. In fact, you know, that happened back in the, when was that?
1960. Turn back the clocks of time to 1966 to the Westall.
Yeah, late 60s.
2 years before I was born, hopefully before you were born too.
No.
Oh, yeah. Just say yes, of course, Thomas.
Yeah. But what I found interesting is when they interviewed the students, and they were they had American military people turn up rather quickly,
right,
and tell them not to discuss this with anyone. I found that very interesting. It's virtually the government went, there you go, America, you handle this. So that was very quick.
Yeah. Now, isn't it something, though, when the Westall event even happened, that blokes from the United States or from the U.S., along with people from the military in the Australia, actually visited one of the teachers' houses and threatened him, and basically saying that if you talk about anything, we're going to go ahead and say you were drunk, and if you were drunk on the job, you'd never be able to teach in Australia again.
That's exactly right. And he'd actually taken photos, and they took the photos and the camera. And that happened to another teacher that was at the school too. They took her camera and photos. Yeah. So they were virtually silenced. But what I found very interesting is that, you know, like we've got American military in this country. Of course we do, because we've got American military bases peppered around Australia. But what I found was really interesting is that, you know, generally they've got jurisdiction in their own area because American bases on Australia is considered American soil.
Right.
But they don't have jurisdiction.
Honestly, I mean, that almost sounds like in the United States. Sorry for butting in, but not even the United States. It sounds like they have a sovereignty, like it's almost an embassy, which is unheard of.
But they don't have jurisdiction over other areas. And I found it fascinating that American troops, American military were deployed there, and they were doing all the talking. And, you know, it was virtually the government, Australian government, handed it straight over to them. So whatever happens in relation to UFOs in this country is America's business and not ours. And that obviously that is the bottom line.
Yeah. It seems like the government is a little, well, aren't most governments self-serving, but it seems like the self-serving government is a little bit more strict, even the way they had things with the lockdowns and how people were treated, and still how they're treating a lot of things going on right now.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, like if you're over here looking for information, you've got to go through America's, what do we say, you know, wall first. And of course, you know how that goes.
Yeah. Give me 1 second here. I'll see if I can go ahead and bring them down. WSTALL. The link I had to the article frickin' vanished. It's no longer working.
Oh.
I can't believe it. Either way, we'll deal with it as time goes on. Yeah, I wanted to bring up the article. I actually go through some of the pieces, but if the links have changed, the links have changed for that matter. All right, let's go ahead and take a look and see what else we've got going on here. All right. A little quote coming from Secret Machines, War Gods, Man and War Volume 3. But I think, you know, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of reverberations. There was another leak of our back chat that happened recently. People went and illegally, that's why they're worried. That's why RPK and Tup are worried about be coming after them legally. So they illegally recorded one of our back chat conversations after the show. And one of the pieces that they went out and they're highlighting on is talk about that, yeah, there's something coming 10 years or so out from now, not in 2027, more like 2034, 2036, or maybe a little bit later. But there's something huge and it's coming towards Earth. And it's course correcting. So as the sun and Earth are moving through the universe, this thing is moving towards us and course correcting to make sure that it's coming out there. Now, these stories that Mike has talked about and I've talked about on the show are nothing but rumors and speculation. While we do have contact with people who are larger than us in Disclosure, and we do have a lot of contacts and different people we work with behind the scenes, none of this came from, you know, if you want to call it confidential sources. Well, you know, but this is something that I've known for well over a year. It was something that was shared with me with Rob Heatherly a while ago in some conversations. And we're looking at different astronomical bodies, and it's something Rob had heard about back then, and he had said, "No, this isn't coming from Lou. This is coming from other people within the area of the people who surround me, the people who are in my bubble of conversation." But we've heard it from other people besides Rob and everything. But it's something that people are trying to say out there that, oh, this is coming from Lou. No, it's not coming from Lou. Whack, whack, whack. Wake up. Stop spreading lies. Have a good time. But you know what? Going ahead and saying that, hey, here you go, it's coming towards you, and it's tied to Lou. No, it's not tied to Lou. Not in the slightest. So if you've heard about it, you want to hear about it and everything, it's out there. But in case that did happen, one of the things that I need to bring up and show that a divided Earth would be exactly what an invading force would wish to see. Meaning that if we were to get an invasion coming to Earth, right? Something big and bad was coming, going to get inundated. The last thing an alien presence would want would be to see everyone, all the countries on the planet not getting along, not being able to come together as a species to stop an invasion from happening. So it's a pretty good quote. A divided Earth would be exactly what an invading force would wish to see. Now, people could say, oh, that doesn't mean anything, but it really does. If we're not all working together, we're going against each other. They're not here to go ahead and give us med beds to solve our medical problems. They're not here to save us from global warming. They're not here to go ahead and save us from ourselves. They may have more of a vested interest in our planet more than anything, which would be a good thing, except that meaning, well, they don't exactly care what we do. If we're going to blow each other up, well, they're going to sit back on the sidelines and eat popcorn, potentially. It's just the reality of that. Well, Cat Mahone says, which ones, Thomas? Which one's which? Be happy to answer it for you, my friend. Oh, gosh, that is in the wrong place. But, hey, that works. Remember, please like and subscribe to Disclosure Tonight. If you haven't gone ahead and subscribed yet, do us a favor. Give us a subscription. It's how we grow the channel and how more people get interested. If you haven't given us a thumbs up yet, or give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, it's called an interaction. The more interaction we get with the podcast, the more that YouTube will go ahead and share it with us. Let's jump back to the desk. Again, where am I at? Studio desk. All right, let's go ahead and see what else. I've got a bunch of other things up here. Oh, and the smorgasbord of everything that I call Disclosure Tonight. Well, no, let's leave that one off for later. All right. Hey, Harold. Well, Harold's not here. I'd bring him up and say, hey, Harold. Remember about that spot off of Guadalupe Island where there's potentially some UFOs hanging out? Well, apparently, our U.S. Air Force, more like the Pentagon, is keeping a constant surveillance on ET underwater base. They're looking about 60 miles north of Guadalupe Island. And this is in the Mexican defense identification zone, where without permission, we are sending a Hercules HC-130J observation plane to go ahead and keep an eye on what's going on at the particular area. Remember, this is about the place that we've talked about with the Nimitz encounter. That this is a spot where Kevin Day saw the particular Tic Tacs going to dropping down into the water and vanishing. So we've had some good surveillance up there on a regular basis in Mexico's area, keeping an eye on. You have to, take a look at that, and you have to go ahead and, you have to go ahead and take a look at that. And if they are going there on a regular basis, they're right off of Ensenada, which is off of San Diego, and then going back and doing loop-de-loops right north of Guadalupe Island. Let me go ahead and bring that a little bit, pause that, bring it a little bit farther up north here. Come on. There we go. So right there you can see that's Guadalupe Island, right north of Guadalupe Island, around the area where Kevin Day said that the UAP the Tic Tacs were going to and vanishing. There you go. So it could be nothing, could just be regular military exercises, but generally the military just doesn't do things for shits and giggles. There's a reason for it. And if they're violating Mexican airspace for that matter to go on this trip, maybe they'll find something. Maybe they won't. But the truth of the matter is, I don't think they're going to be telling us no matter what they found. Let me jump back into my desktop again, see what we can find next, get back to the desk again. Oh, who's coming in? Wow. I haven't seen you in a while. I have some. Supposedly, a signal has come in from Proxima Centauri. I think it's only about 4 light years away. It's something that's relatively close to our planet for that matter. Let's go ahead and play. And they're saying that this clip has some intelligence behind it. It's not just a clip potentially of static or anything. Let me play it and let me see where our back panel think this is going to take us. Here we go. Turn off that for a second. Here we go. Let me bring this up so you can see what I'm looking at here. Video document solo. Let's bring this up again. Here we go. Rewind a little bit. Here we go.
Do. An recording.
Now, this could be one of the first recordings we actually have from a non-human source that's actually being released to the public. Mike, welcome back to the show, my friend. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. Just got a little sidetracked. Somebody wasn't feeling well.
Uh-oh.
Yep, that's okay. Everything's under control.
Yeah.
We're good. Yeah. So, yeah, that's an interesting sound. That they're saying that was from a non-human source.
Something
Yeah.
for you to.
I mean, if you listen to it, the way it's going through tones and everything like that, Mike, it doesn't sound like anything that's just random static or noise coming from another planet.
Yeah, or something, yeah, because if it was like a pulsar or something like that, it's pretty steady and monotone.
Right.
It doesn't change in frequency or in pitch. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very unusual sound.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
This is coming from the star system that has Proxima Centauri and Proxima B. It's a star system. I think it's only like 4 light years away, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty close to us, Thomas.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's
And they're
nice that
calling
they
it
were
a
able
radio techno signature.
to- Yeah, it's absolutely a signature of some kind. What exactly, we don't know. They're guessing. But you know what? I've never heard a sound like that before. Have you?
Oh, not at all, my friend. Not at all.
Exactly.
It's one of those things that you hear that you have to step back and you have to take a listen to and just say, what the heck did we just run into?
Oh, what are we listening to?
Yeah.
Right. What's making that noise? That sound.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. It's nice that they released that publicly. Usually they bury sounds that they can't explain like that from the public.
So you remember the video clip that we have from Nikki X1?
Very well.
About 24,000 views on that video, going ahead and showing a lot of activity going on off in the distance.
It wasn't just activity. It seemed like direct communication.
So I've got another video clip. Maybe, actually, let me do this. Let me download it here first so I can zoom into it a little bit better. It'll just take a second here. I've got one that's coming to us from Arizona that was posted on Twitter, last several days, not too long ago. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here. Let me shut it down off the Twitter sphere. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here. What's that at?
Follow the yellow brick road.
You missed the start of the show, Mike.
I did, unfortunately, but
here, the other one you missed was.
Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road.
Yep.
Follow the yellow brick road.
Yeah, gotta have fun with it. All right.
Oh, hell yeah.
Behind the scenes humor, folks. You got to have a good one on this. Let me go ahead and bring up documents. Video full guest. Let me get the desktop documents so we can talk about this. All right. So I'm going to just jump a little bit farther in. Let me go ahead and show it. And what you're going to see is you're going to see a bunch of activity in the bottom of this, right?
Yeah.
And this reminds me really of the stuff we saw from Nikki X1 back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Kill the audio. Watch the video. Now watch how many different objects are moving in different directions. You've got this one moving that way, another one moving that way, these three moving down in that particular manner, this one moving all over in that direction. Yeah, these two moving in different directions. These three all moving in different directions. You see that, Mike?
Yeah, I do.
You got another one going along the
location?
bottom, going across. Granted, we're not getting the big bursts of light, but it's not like they were shining a flashlight at it.
Right.
There's
They
another
weren't
object moving
signaling.
in this direction, another object moving in that direction. They're all over the place.
Yeah, those are not stars or Starlink.
Oh, heck no. There's too many things close to the ground, higher up, going in different directions. Starlink, you'll usually see it moving in parallel in a set direction.
Right. Do you know where the location that this was taken in Arizona?
No, I do not have that information, Mike.
Because I'd like to know if there's a nuclear base, a nuclear power station,
I don't
or
know.
a military base.
Are there any nuclear sites in Arizona? Because I know where the stuff happened in Sentinel, Arizona, where Nikki had gotten this stuff.
Right.
It was there was nothing going on anywhere. If there is sound on this, it's just people off the distance talking about it. There's one really lighting up right there, Mike, as it's getting towards the base.
Wow.
There's like two objects moving along with each other. Got another one coming in from the side. Man. And the thing about this is, Mike, this is real time. This isn't something that's been slowed down. And just scrubbing back and forth, you can see all the motions. It definitely looks like, what do you want to call it? Arizona is definitely holding on with its hotspot.
A hotspot.
Yeah.
Well, there's a Palo Verde nuclear power station that's near Tonopah, Arizona. It's the largest nuclear power plant in the United States.
Is Tonopah in Arizona? I thought Tonopah's in Nevada. Nevada.
Well, there's one in Nevada by Area 51, and there's also one in Arizona where they have the Palo Verde nuclear power plant.
Yeah. Well, the stuff that's going on here, this is kind of out in the middle of the desert, is kind of what it looks like here, Mike. There's no city lights, no nothing. It's just lights moving around in the desert sky.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting that there's so much activity around there in Arizona.
Yeah. You know, but I'm not sure if they were able to go ahead. Let me go ahead and get back to this. Let me get back to the original tweet. Let's see what people are saying here. Kelly Brout says, I see those sparkles in the sky during the daytime. Interesting. There's nothing going back to the actual original video, so it's probably a repost of something that happened, but you know, it's unexplained aerial phenomena, to say the absolute least.
Well, didn't they have an unexplained aerial phenomenon in Arizona at the Phoenix Lights 20 years ago?
Yeah, but this is a lot different than the Phoenix Lights, Mike.
Oh, I know, but it seems like there's activity in Arizona.
Well, look at the stuff that happened in Sentinel, Arizona.
Yeah,
which is
oh,
almost
yeah.
similar to what we're seeing here with the amount of activity in the number of different craft we have moving in the sky.
Right. It's interesting that there's like you said, it's a hot spot in
Right.
Arizona.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those interesting things. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Mike, what's new on your front these days?
Well, other than dealing with a house full of sick children,
Yeah.
you and I have talked about. You spoke about the upcoming November 13th hearing.
Oh, we
right?
haven't talked about that
gonna-
yet, Mike. Good point. I'll bring that up right now. Let me get to desktop, document, or video full guest. All right, so let me go ahead and bring this one up. Congressional update. We've talked about this last week. There's an update on it today, but we just want to go ahead and say yes. There's a congressional update coming from Dean Johnson, who posts some really great stuff on Twitter on a regular basis. I think he's one of your favorites, isn't he, Mike?
Oh yeah, we're big fans of each other.
Oh, absolutely. So the Cyber Subcommittee and National Security Subcommittees will hold a joint hearing on UAPs on November 13th, coming from the spokesperson. From the House Oversight Committee, emailed to Douglas Dean Johnson on 10/25. It looks like it was Friday at 1:05 p.m. Nancy Mace and Glenn Grothman will chair 2 panels. More importantly, coming out of this is that that meeting with the DOD with regards to
is still scheduled.
Regarding national security is
right.
meeting with the National Security Subcommittee as well as the House Oversight Committee this week in regards to the hearing that they plan on holding.
They did. So let me ask you this. When they first announced the House Oversight Committee and the potential hearing on November 13th, it was publicly announced that Nancy Mace would be chairing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was specifically the House Oversight Committee that would be holding the UAP hearing like they did last year.
Right.
Now we're talking about joint subcommittees and now including, like you just pointed out, the inclusion of the National Security Subcommittee. Before,
Correct.
They weren't attached.
Correct.
They seem to have slipped this in at the last minute.
So they're holding a joint hearing.
Subcommittee. Yeah, they are.
A joint hearing. So potentially the subcommittee on national security could pull out of this. And it could still potentially go on, right? I think so.
Would the National Security Subcommittee pull out? Not necessarily. Probably what would happen is they would raise concerns based on the meeting that they're having behind closed doors, and they would use that as a grounds to cancel the hearing or remove certain witnesses who were scheduled to come forward and testify. They would be a good subcommittee, a blocking body to prevent people from testifying that they didn't want to speak publicly. Because they didn't originally announce that they were in fact including joint hearing with other subcommittees. It was just supposed to be Nancy Mace right out of the gate, and that's it, one and done. Now they're slipping this in, and we know, because we've covered and reported on, that they're having behind closed doors meetings trying to prevent this hearing on the grounds of national security. So this is going to be like an opera, a drama, soap opera.
Yeah.
We're going to have to wait and see from now until the actual date what comes up, because they're still trying to cancel this meeting in any way, shape, or form. And it hasn't played out yet. So it's interesting. This
now,
could go any one of a number of
what we
directions.
do know, Mike, is that
Yeah.
Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet
Correct.
is planning on testifying this time. In addition to that, there supposedly is going to be a whistleblower, and there's going to be a focus on Immaculate Constellation. Can you confirm on that, Mike?
Oh, absolutely, Thomas. Yeah, that's going to be the main focus this year, if and when they hold this hearing on that secret, unacknowledged special access program that the government has been hiding from Congress and the public. Yeah, they're going to have.
No, wait a minute.
questions.
You're saying they're hiding something from the public, but Susan Goff denies that all the time.
Oh, yeah, she does. Doesn't exist. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
So there are multiple witnesses besides the one that Michael Schellenberger had spoken about that he's been dealing directly with when he broke that story and revealed the knowledge of Immaculate Constellation to the world. That witness is not coming forward because he is very in fear and concerned for his safety and that of his family.
Right.
But there are several other witnesses with direct knowledge of this program that have come forward to Congress, and one of them are potentially scheduled to come and testify publicly about their knowledge of this program, which is going to be interesting. That's one of the reasons why the Pentagon is desperate to shut this hearing down, because they cannot stop the whistleblowers from speaking due to the whistleblower protections that are in the legislation.
Right.
So
Now-
their answer is, we'll just shut the hearing down.
Right. Now, supposedly, what we've heard from Lou and others is that the current whistleblower protections aren't enough, and we need more. And unfortunately, there were supposed to be more coming into the Intelligence
NDAA.
Authorization Act, but those were shot down.
It was supposed to be enhanced with the second iteration of the UAP Disclosure Act, and it got completely shut down, as you are well aware of.
Yeah.
There was no meaningful legislation put forth.
Well, they
took
put
care
it
of that.
forth, but it failed this year worse than it failed last year. If everybody remembers, you turn the clock back over a year, and when the UAP Disclosure Act, the first version, came forward to the Senate, it sailed through with flying colors, instantaneous vote, no pushback. But this year, Mike, they couldn't even get it past the Senate, which means that, you know what? The DOD did their job. The deep state did their job to make sure the people who could let it pass through the Senate were there to vote against it.
Right. The key people that they have on payroll, including one of them who was voted one of the most corrupt politicians.
Oh, you
in
mean Mike
Congress,
Turner?
Mike Turner.
Yeah. From the
Well,
great
a few
state of
years in a row.
Ohio, Dayton, Ohio,
Right.
from the home of Langley Air Force Base, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Now, speaking of, no, it's in Ohio. No, Langley is in Virginia.
Oh, that's right.
But what is in Dayton, Ohio is Wright-Patterson Air Force
Wright-Patterson,
Base.
that's it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Now, interestingly enough,
Thank you.
Wright-Patterson is the home of NASIC. So, National Air and Space
Yeah.
Intelligence Center. This program, Immaculate Constellation, has surveillance platforms from the military that they use.
Mike,
for their
run with it for a
collections.
second. I'll be right back. Continue.
Go right ahead. They use these overhead collection platforms from the military, and it's all controlled through NASIC, which is out of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So this unacknowledged special access program has connections and ties for their surveillance operations directly with Wright-Pat and NASIC for the surveillance. So this hits really close to home. Why do you think that if this program is connected to that base, which is a constituent of Mike Turner, it's not a shock or a surprise that he is desperately looking to shut down and cancel this hearing.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. But now, besides Wright-Patterson being there, Mike, I believe the head offices for Battelle Memorial Institute, which heads up all of our Department of Energy labs, is also there, aren't they?
Oh my God, yes. They absolutely are, yeah. It's like the bad news bears of the people who have the most to gain on preventing disclosure from moving forward.
And for people to be who aren't that familiar with it, the Roswell debris was supposedly flown from New Mexico to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
It was. That's what leaked out at that time, that's where they transported the materials and the biologics.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of activity from almost 80 years ago out of that area. And now it seems like today with the new Immaculate Constellation program, which Michael Schellenberger's witness had said it is a parent special access program to sub-access special access programs that deal directly with crash retrieval and reverse engineering.
Right.
Funny how in all this time, almost 80 years, it stays the same and pretty close to home. They haven't really changed it up that much other than handing off a lot of this stuff to Lockheed.
Yeah. Well, we're calling out Lockheed, but we have to go ahead and say anything to do with the energy systems, the thing that powers this craft, all of that's got to be going to the DOE. I don't think any of that's going to be going to Lockheed or anybody.
No, because as you and I have talked openly on the show to our audience, the Department of Energy is non-FOIAble and has no direct oversight from Congress. That's a hell of a good place to hide any secret that you don't want anybody to know about. And they've been doing that almost for 80 years as well, right out of DOE.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting that this seems to be the usual suspects of places like Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Dayton, Ohio, and everything that they're hiding from the public and from Congress. And that's what they're in most fear of right now, that if these hearings move forward and take place, and these people step forward, these witnesses, and start to reveal the locations and the places involved, that's not something that they'll easily be able to cover and bury.
No.
So right now, it's easy for them to target and bury the actual hearing.
Now, one thing we were talking a little bit about the hearing coming up before the show happened with some of the people in the back. My biggest concern is last year we had a bombshell hearing. We had David Grush came forward, right?
Grush, yeah. Right.
We had David Grush come forward and talk about all these different things. He's a first-hand whistleblower. He said all these great things. He had all of those different podcasts that he was on. And then you had it at the end of the year. He had that one appearance with a bunch of investors from Peter Thiel, I believe, in New York, right? An investment.
Yeah, there was a secret meeting from VIP members of Wall Street, but it wasn't just Wall Street. It was also members of the intelligence community that attended this private meeting.
Right.
And he revealed things that he had filed for a second DOPSA because he was going to then come forward and release a opinion editorial, an op-ed, that included the same information that he already got clearance for and that he spoke about on Wall Street.
Right.
That he came in and spoke at this secret meeting for a few hours and immediately got on a plane and flew back home.
Right. Now, if you remember, he was supposed to release an op-ed.
Right.
That didn't happen.
No.
It was supposed to come out in January, then February, then March, and just kept on until it faded off in the distance.
Right, but we were just talking about the meeting he had here in New York. And
I know, after that meeting and everything, his op-ed was supposed to come out. That meeting, I believe, was in December.
Right.
The meeting in January was when the meeting was the end of December, beginning of January. His op-ed was supposed to come out end of January, February, somewhere in that time frame, and then it got pushed out and pushed out and pushed out, and we've never heard from him again. Now, but going back to, all the different stuff that David said last year, right?
Right.
What came out of it?
What came out of the secret meeting that he flew in and flew out of very quickly?
Well, not just a secret meeting. What came out of David coming forward last year into this year?
Nothing. We haven't heard a word
Absolutely
from him.
Nothing. Correct. He
Well,
was an excellent witness, excellent person to come forward and tell Congress. But if you have someone with such a high pedigree and information coming forward is what David had, and then nothing happened. Think about the exposés that were on News Nation, all the little news pieces, all that long-form interview with Ross Coulthart. Do you think we're going to get the same kind of interview coming forward from Ross before this happens on November 13th?
No, and I'll tell you why.
An election's in play.
Yes, it is, but more so to the point, the witnesses that are going to be coming forward at the hearing, they will not come out publicly like David Grush did prior to the hearing. They're in danger. They're not going to do that. So we're not going to hear word from anybody before the hearing. And if we, in fact, have that hearing, whoever comes out is not going to be publicly spoken about until after they come out at the hearing.
Well, they're not going to be publicly spoken about until they come out at the hearing and then talking about afterwards, because Tim Burchett and Anna Polina Luna learned last time. Because I think they even scared away Tim Gallaudet last year, didn't they?
They did. They scared away Colonel Colonel, who was David Grush's superior, his supervisor in the UAP task force. So he was supposed to come out and back up the claims that Grush had made. But that never happened. We talked about that when we covered this on the show. But the first go-round of the public UAP hearing, all of those witnesses were intimidated to withdraw, and they shut down. They pulled back. Grush was out there on his own. And David Fravor and Ryan Graves are alongside with him, but they did not have direct knowledge of the investigation.
But you know how many times we've heard from Ryan Graves and David Fravor in the past? It's like wash, rinse, repeat. Not a lot of new stuff came out.
No new stuff came out. It was almost like they were filler around Grush.
Almost like going to see Lou in person. No new stuff comes out.
Yeah, but what they were supposed to do is have some people backing up Grush's claims, because they knew it was far-fetched. The audience would have trouble just digesting that at face value. So they wanted other people to corroborate what he was saying, like Colonel Colonel. But even though he was scheduled to appear at the last hearing, he withdrew suddenly at the last minute.
Yeah.
So now let's remind our audience, when that secret meeting with David Grush came out in December, what exactly it was that he said. He had confirmed that the United States is in possession of a craft, a UAP, that is 40 feet in diameter on the outside, but over 300 feet on the inside.
The size of a football pitch on the inside.
A football field, correct. Yeah. Now, there is no earthly tech that we have that would be able to have the ability to change dimensional.
Well, I beg to differ. There is something called Doctor Who, and he has a TARDIS.
There we go.
More science fiction coming forward as not being science fiction, but science reality.
That's right. It was shocking because when David Grush had made those claims, he's now confirming, like you said, science fiction technology that the government is actually in possession of.
Right.
And that was shocking. And then he also confirmed that, yes, we've heard many times that the government has recovered bodies and there are biologics that they have had, but there was no description or any confirmation that ever came out about those biologics specifically. And David Grush finally said that, yes, it is the gray type aliens that have been reported by decades from people who claim to have been abductees. And that's the biologic bodies that we're in possession of. So we finally got clarity and confirmation on the specific type of bodies that we've been talking about for almost 80 years.
Yeah.
And then he was supposed to release all of that and more in his public op-ed. But that turned into vapor. Never came out.
Yeah, I know. But supposedly there's a comment in the chat that the guy who released Immaculate Constellation said Grush gave him the courage to come forward.
Well, David Grush is a good inspiration for that, because that's what he did. And that's true about this individual who came out to Michael Schellenberger and Congress. Now, I can tell you, Michael Schellenberger revealed some of the contents of the report that this witness had compiled on Immaculate Constellation.
Oh, do tell, Mike. Do tell.
Congress. No, well, all I'm saying is that I know that when Congress has this report, which they do, and at the public hearing, I know they're going to be reading excerpts out of that report for the public.
Really quick, Mike, if I could, if you're watching the show, you're having a good time, which look at this, Mike, we have 270 people watching the show right now. Only 89 likes. Only 89 likes. If you're having a good time, do us a favor. Give us a thumbs up, and if not, give us a thumbs down. We'll take one or the other. Most importantly, if you haven't subscribed yet, please give us a follow. We'd like to have you as a regular here on Disclosure tonight. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry about that.
No, it's perfectly fine. But even if you do not have some witness that's going to publicly testify and reveal the information out of their mouth, at the very least, I already know that the Congress is going to be reading excerpts from this report and putting it into the congressional record. And the Pentagon does not want this information more than what was already publicly released to be coming out to the public or on the congressional record. It's why they're motivated to shut this hearing down.
Yeah. Well, it's not convenient for them. And the longer they can shut it down, even if they've only got, November, December, even if they have a little over 2 months before the reins are handed over, they're going to keep as much information out of the public sphere as they possibly can.
And whatever information makes it into the public sphere, they are going to bend over backwards to try to discredit it and apply stigma to it and say it's false information, none of it is true. Like Susan Goff said when Michael Schellenberger reached out to her and told her ahead of time, I'm going to release this story. What is the Department of Defense and the Pentagon's answer to this?
Yeah.
And she came out and said, doesn't exist. We've never heard of it.
Talking about this and disclosure and everything, you know who's someone who has really quieted down since Sean Kirkpatrick left Aro? Avi Loeb. All the little papers they were putting out together, all the stuff they were doing to bash disclosure, the stuff that they were throwing out there to go ahead and discredit stuff like the Tic Tac encounter with the USS Nimitz, Avi Loeb has gotten quiet. Any thoughts as to why, Mike?
As far as why Dr. Loeb has pulled back on this? Well,
pulled back
look,
from debunking as much stuff as he was before.
Because
it's almost like the checks stopped coming across.
It's right. It's almost like he may have some advanced inside knowledge as to what may be coming out publicly. And if he continues to debunk it, that would impact his reputation. So I think he's choosing to remain silent at this point. Because Michael Schellenberger released a lot of information on this subject, so did we.
Yeah.
So the public is now informed. And as a result of that, people like Dr. Avi Loeb have to restrain themselves on the flat-out denials like Susan Goff does on behalf of the Pentagon.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Thomas.
Yeah, it's one of those things we just have to keep on looking at stuff and understanding it. All right, I want to go ahead and copy this link address. You know, talking about stuff that's been going on at Langley, also stuff that's been going on at Wright-Patterson, but there's been some really weird sightings that have been going on in Arizona. Not Arizona, I'm sorry, Indiana. And I've got a video from Mr. BB333 that's a compilation of a whole bunch of videos that are out there. I need to go ahead and find just down at.
Yeah, we should play that to the audience.
I'm just about to do that. I need to go ahead and load this application again. There we go. I want to bring this up because there are some really interesting video clips up there that they're saying potentially these could have been, what do you call it? Flares that had popped in the air.
Simple explanation.
But let's see if I can find this. Where are the good ones at? Not this one. Let me try and get it.
Once again,
turn off the volume there.
Well, flares float down at a slow rate and burn with incendiary device. If
they do, but there's some close-ups on these. Is it near the end of the video? Here, let's see if I can get this up here. Let me bring this one up here for the audience to go and take a look at. It's always interesting to see sightings and stuff and try and figure out what the heck are we actually looking at here, Mike. Let's get to desktop. Video, full guest. Here we go. So we've got some, is this the one that was going a little bit further on? Now, where is that at? They were actually showing, unless it was a different one that I saw. This is a guy who was going and driving from location to location to location, chasing him in the air. And what we were seeing was, if this isn't it, no, this isn't it. I thought I had seen it's from Leon the artist coming in. Let's see if this one is going to be it. No, there were a bunch of them that looked like flares that were popping up. Maybe this isn't the video.
Probably not.
No, I could have
because
sworn.
flares can be easily identified, but the video footage you're talking about for the audience doesn't show that.
No, it doesn't.
It's not readily identified.
They
So
had
that's
one
why we
popping
wanted to
in
show
and
it.
another one going out and another one going out. There was another one where you can see where they're relatively fast coming down. Dang it. I thought I had this here, but either way, yeah, there's no understanding of what these things were near Kokomo, Indiana, that was taking place.
Yeah, we'll find the footage and we'll put it up on the next episode.
Oh, gosh, yes, absolutely, my friend, absolutely. So what else is new coming from your sources these days, Mike?
Just about the pushback behind the scenes, behind closed doors, to prevent the upcoming hearing from taking place. There's a lot of pushback. And the comments that Nancy Mace had made recently when we broke this story about she's going to fight to come hell or high water, that confirms the story that we broke out, because now she's saying even with pushback, she's going to fight to have this hearing take place. So that's an admission, in my opinion, that she says that she is going to fight no matter what.
Yeah.
So she is running into resistance on this.
Yeah. And she is really busy right now running interference, going ahead and talking about a massive coordinated voter suppression effort that's happening right now, where she's calling out left-wing super PAC dropping mail from CVI to suppress Republican turnout. So there's a lot of things everyone in Washington truly has their hands tied with coming up towards this massive election that's on our doorsteps right now.
And like you and I have talked about many times privately, we should share with the audience that at this point, with the controversy going on both sides, it doesn't really matter who ultimately wins after November 6th. There is going to be pushback. There's going to be controversy. And this is not going to be an election that's going to go quietly into the night.
No.
regardless of who wins, right?
There will be people rioting in the streets, no matter how the election goes.
Correct. It will be exciting times, at the very least, that we'll all have to deal with.
Unfortunately,
and we'll be covering it right here on the show,
right,
on our networks. So we'll cover that. Unfortunately, if it starts to take place,
and some
it's
of
happening
this
already.
Could run into the time, I hate to say it, of the hearing that's being scheduled for the 13th. Granted, the election's on the 5th. We want to hear it by the 6th, but this could be going on for weeks.
This will be going on, for all intents and purposes, right up until January 2025. It won't be resolved. Guaranteed. This is how it is every election
certainly
cycle.
hope, Mike, it doesn't go on for that long.
So do I, Thomas. But it looks like, with how controversial this election cycle is for this year, and how divided the country is on this and many other topics, that regardless of who wins, it's going to be dragged out and not resolved until we're in January of 2025.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's pretty much a given.
Yeah. It's one of those things we're going to have to deal with and get into it. Now, Mike, one of the things I did touch on before you got here today was trying to give some clarity, because I know there's been some misquotes out there on UFO Twitter about people who have illegally recorded conversations in a conference call that happens when the show's over, and without asking for permission ahead of time. Anyone who records that kind of stuff is in violation of state and federal laws. Just saying. So remember how we heard that Tupa and RPK were afraid that we're putting legal proceedings against them? I wonder if this is because of that they knew that they had clips that were legally recorded of the back conversation that happens after disclosure tonight with our call-in audience.
That's correct. But they were foolish enough to actually release some audio clips taken directly from the back chat.
Right,
recently.
which were illegally made and then further disclosed.
Correct. Without
Making
the
a
knowledge or
huge mess
consent.
for them.
It does, because it now violates legal statutes that can turn around and affect them personally and directly as a result of those actions.
And part of the conversation that came out was we've gotten this information from a bunch of different sources. I got it from Rob Heatherly about a year ago. Other people have been talking about it more recently, if you remember.
I do.
There is this big thing coming in the mid-2030s, give or take. Not 2027, but mid-2030s. There's something big heading towards the planet that's doing course correcting on its way here. That's what I've heard for a long time. We've all heard that on UFO Twitter. But just for clarity, we've never gotten any of this information from Lou Elizondo in the past.
No, none of it. Lou Elizondo is not an astronomer. He's not dealing directly with NASA and the James Webb Space Telescope. So we have never received any information from him regarding this subject or that deadline that has been so openly spoken about by many other people on social media and other platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation about a proposed date and time, but nobody has an exact time or date.
No one knows what's coming.
Confirmed.
Nothing knows what's going on, other than there has been conversation from multiple sources that we've heard this information throughout our network on Twitter behind the scenes.
Correct. And we have kept that from not being released publicly because none of that has been confirmed. But whoever had been recording private conversations illegally decided to make that information and those discussions public, which is against the law. And that's what they chose to do.
Now, if you remember Courtney from Space Star Radio?
Courtney Makasani, yes.
Yeah, she's the one who actually was working with Dave and actually had been talking with the whistleblower Jason Sands for 3-4 months before he ever came out.
Publicly. She was the one that orchestrated him coming out publicly on a Twitter space.
Right.
Right. Her and Dave Scott.
Right.
We're working on
Now,
that behind the scenes.
she has also, just like we've heard verifying from our sources, she's heard the same thing. She's heard it from multiple sources as well.
Right. But anything that she heard, there's no direct confirmation on any of that.
No.
Because if there were, then people would have brought this forward, including us. But we know there's nothing credible that can confirm any of those allegations. So we never came forward publicly. We've talked about it privately, but that was a private conversation that wasn't breaking a news story or with any direct confirmation. And they decided to record that and make that information public. But that's something that anybody with half a brain wouldn't break the law and go out of their way to put nonsense like that out there.
But hey, at least I have to say one good thing to the trolls. At least they're picking us up and they're giving us a lot of credibility for what's going on.
They are. And, you know, listen, it's not really a secret for anybody that watches the show regularly. We had on the last show that one of those trolls decided to openly and publicly come out into the front chat here in the show.
Oh yeah, and then he was quickly squished by one of the people from one of our mods. That would have been Tupacabra.
It was, and he was removed forcibly from the show very quickly. So none of his nonsense or propaganda would be coming out publicly on our show, on our platform.
Yeah.
But it tells you that because we haven't acknowledged them publicly up until now and haven't given them the attention that they are so desperately seeking, they are going to real extremes to try to get our attention and to get a response from us.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So they want to push their narrative and their propaganda, which is all false. And we're not helping them to do that.
Nope.
So they're frustrated.
Yes, that is the truth, my friend. They are frustrated, and oh yes, they're frustrated. We'll leave it at that, for that matter.
Oh yes, we will leave it definitely at that. But that's okay because things move forward just like they do behind the scenes when things come out. Well, things also move forward behind the scenes that don't necessarily come out that have a much greater impact. As they will find out soon enough.
Oh, absolutely. Mike, I'm going to have to give you a break for a second. Do me a favor. Hold on to this. I'll be right back. I'll let you run with it for a minute.
Oh, absolutely. So now that we are allowing Thomas to take a trip to the library, is there anybody that has something in the back that wants to offer? Rick, I see you raised your hand. Go right ahead.
Do we know if anyone has put in a FOIA request for anything in regards to Immaculate Constellation, or do you think that there's nothing going to be there that's going to be FOIAble?
Well, there have been numerous FOIA requests, but most of them have been denied directly from the Pentagon that program does not exist. See, I'll give you a quick breakdown based on my understanding. A story was also broken recently by Christopher Sharp from the Liberation Times, and Matt Ford from the Good Trouble Show. And they talked about the CIA's crash retrieval program, which is called the Office of Global Access. And once they broke that story, with great fear to retribution to them personally, and that story came out, it turns out that people were going to immediately file FOIA requests, but those FOIA requests would be denied from the Pentagon based on, they would say that no such program currently exists with that name in their records, so they wouldn't be able to fulfill the FOIA request. Because the reason for that being is that the Office of Global Access, the name was changed to Transnational Technology Mission Center, and they did that in 2021. So if you went to FOIA OGA, they could then technically say we have no knowledge of that.
And you got to
There's nothing
remember,
wrong.
when Christopher Sharp broke that story about OGA, within a short time afterwards, the search results for OGA were all removed from Google.
There was a clean sweep, and the search engine, and we reported on that as it was happening. They removed any type of results that would indicate anything that would be connected to the Office of Global Access.
Yeah.
One by one, it was swept off of Google search results and completely disappeared. That's not a coincidence. They're trying to make it go away, but they use the same tactics they've always been using, and that is when they have a program or a department that is conducting these secret operations, they frequently change the name of those programs and or departments. And then when you go to look for it, there's nothing for you to find there. It's a good tactic. It's been successful on behalf of the Pentagon.
Yeah, it has.
And they're continuing to do that. No shock or surprise there. This is the games that they play.
Yeah.
This is why disclosure has been so slow moving in the past 80 years.
And why it continues to be slow moving. Well, you know, Mike, we do have Halloween coming up.
We do.
We're just days away. It's the 28th, 29th. We got less than 3 days till Halloween. I want to go ahead and share this. Let me make sure it's on view. Is that on loop? It's on loop now. Let's go ahead and play.
Do you think it's possible that for Halloween this year, because of the content we've been covering on the show pretty regularly, that they will now have a costume for humans?
I hope so, but here we've got a view from a cemetery in central Washington of the aurora that happened last night.
That's amazing.
It's just amazing. There were reds and greens and yellows and plenty of
Purple.
stars, and you had the cemetery in the foreground. It's just an amazing view, to say the least.
It really is. That's Mother Nature at her best.
Yeah. Now, you've heard about the phenomenon, the sky phenomenon out there called sprites, right?
Yes.
Those red things that can kind of appear up in the sky and just look amazing.
Yes.
Well, someone just captured in the last day one of the most amazing pictures of sprites that I've ever seen before. I don't think I've ever seen, let me get this up here a little bit, make it larger. I've never seen so many sprites in one picture. Usually you get one or two, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of these.
Wow. That is
there are
amazing.
amazing things going on in the sky, folks. So when keep your ears and eyes open for when there's going to be solar events going on. We've got one hell of a year ahead of us, Mike. We're just getting into the peak of the solar cycle, which is going to go at least for another year. And then we're going to have another year like we have had so far this year. Amazing, to say the least.
It is, and it's going to also increase the reporting of UAP. When people on the ground who are not knowledgeable look up and see that, they're going to say, I've never seen anything like that before. It has to be an unknown object.
Yeah. Oh, it does. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mike, covered a lot of great stuff today. Is there anything we haven't covered yet?
No, I think we're good, Thomas, but it was a hell of a conversation.
I think we're excellent. I really want to go ahead and thank the people from Disclosure tonight that have gone ahead and given us some super chats. That would include JCat, Faze Will, and Nikki X1. And then I also want to go ahead and then thank the people in our chat for coming out here today. Who am I talking about? I want to thank Ann Joanne, AJ, Austin Gilbert, Brendan England, Cosmo Fang, Kriti Banis, Dennis Benke, Eli McGinnis, Francis, Kathy, Kevin Jewell, JCat, King Bull, Kelly Broat, and her piercing blue eyes, Paul DeMond, Rachel Osborne, Shelley Montgomery, Stephen Forbes Jr., Terrence Bruce, our Bunts, the Mac Geek, Two Heads 666, and Suzanne. Thank you very much. Appreciate all your love and support, and thanks for coming out to Disclosure tonight. Had a great audience here, hanging out, having some fun. More importantly, I want to thank our friends in the back chat who have been here throughout the show and asked some questions. Susan Ford, thanks for coming out today, my dear lady.
I'm privileged to be here. Thank you very much. And I'd also just like to say that if anyone records me in the back chat, that I will sue them.
There you go. There you go. Because the back chat is a private conversation, folks.
It is a private conversation. And I believe you also said that if people don't join the back chat before the show finishes, they won't be in. Is that right?
Yeah, and anyone who's going to be in the back chat, they have to have their cameras on. Otherwise, they're not welcome. We have to see you on camera. Just because there are people who are masquerading as other people, it's just some little safety things. Ooh, hey, Susan, love to see that beautiful face of yours. Thanks for stopping in. On that note, thank everybody for coming out in the back. Also want to thanks, Mike, for coming out tonight. It wouldn't be the same without you.
I wouldn't have missed it for anything, Thomas. Great show. A lot of good information.
Oh,
and
thank you. Great audience here tonight. Rick Roberts, one last thing for you before we take off.
Remember, go out and vote.
Go out, vote. You got to get out and vote.
Rock the vote. Rock the vote.
Absolutely rock the vote. No matter how you swing it, vote. Make a difference. On that note, I also want to thank everyone for coming out and say, as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody, but
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you in the flip side. Good night, everybody. Y'all come back now. Here, take care. Bye-bye.